And there we go. Okay. So welcome to today's webinar. We are going to be talking about creating workouts from home. I don't think anyone really anticipates, a 4-week time frame where they're trying to figure out how they can use equipment without using an actual gym facility, unless you have one at home. So we wanted to give a lot of different insights, some feedback, some things that you can try, and also just, again, keep it interactive where you guys can ask us questions and maybe specific obstacles that you may face with creating at-home workouts or doing workouts from home. Hopefully, you've maybe had the opportunity to join us for our Skype workouts that we've had at 11 o'clock every day. If not, and you would like the invite, let me know. I can certainly send that to you as well. But that is hopefully an avenue that you can utilize to see how you can use body weight to do so many things. And it's really effective, and you can get a lot accomplished with just your body. But you can also use some at-home household facility or household items to accomplish the same types of moves that you would hopefully be able to do at a gym or full facility. So we're going to go ahead and just dive in and get started. And one of the first things that is important to talk about are some of the bigger challenges that typically you would face with trying to create a workout at home. First one for a lot of people is just not really understanding how to set up a workout, not having the machinery or the equipment, and what does that look like? How do you know what intervals to do or length of time, and how is all of that tracked? And that can present some challenges and kind of make it almost scary to even get started. So we'll talk about some of that a little bit later in a few minutes here. Another really big thing is the time component. There's a lot of things that can pull our attention when you're at home, whether it's kids or the TV, or you need something to clean something, or a spouse needs something. There are so many different directions that we're pulled in when we're at home compared to when we are at a gym and people maybe can't bother us as easily or interrupt us as easily. Interruptions happen all the time when we're at home typically. And so not just finding the time, but even once you've found the time, not letting the other distractions and interruptions get in the way of you accomplishing your workout. So again, probably something most of us have heard so many times about time and making time, and your health is important, and do it now because you're not going to have time later. Yes, all of those things are incredibly applicable, especially when we're talking about your health and your well-being. And exercise isn't just physical, it's mental as well and emotional. So especially in this time where things might be a little bit more stressful and strange and different, it's so important to take care of all aspects of our health and well-being, and exercise can provide a way to relieve stress, to focus on yourself, to give you something positive that's happening amongst so many negatives or challenges. So my favorite quote personally is that you are never going to find time for anything, but you will make time for the things that are important. And I think that's so true. If you think about for a work example, if your boss gives you something that, say, is time sensitive, you can take it in two directions, right? If your boss is this is time sensitive, this matters, you're probably going to prioritize it over other things that you have that are still taking up your time in a normal work day. So you maybe initially would be oh, I don't have the time to do that, but you're going to make the time because it's a priority and it's important. So you make that time, no matter what it takes to rearrange and adjust, you make it. Same thing with exercise, same thing with well-being of your overall health. And today we're talking about at-home workouts, but your overall well-being of health and wellness is so important as a whole. So keep that in mind. You are never going to find time for anything, but you will make time for the things that are important. And it's really important that you focus on your health, focus on your well-being. Another kind of little easy way to think about this too, or I guess a different way of thinking about it, is there's definitely a difference between interest and commitment. When you're interested in doing something, you do it only when it's convenient. So a lot of people will come and say, I'm really interested in exercise, or I'm interested in starting to work out more, and that's great. And having that interest is step one. But moving to that commitment is step two, and committing your time and your energy, not just when it's convenient, when it's totally inconvenient, when it's a pain in the butt to do. That is when it makes the difference and when it really changes into that lifestyle. So we want to offer some options and things that you can think about today as you're thinking about how to work out at home and what that looks like. And we have 30 minutes to cram a bunch of different things in, so we'll talk relatively in short increments about a lot of different aspects of it with some of the biggest challenges that we do face. And we really want to start with the equipment piece. So I'm actually going to share my screen. I'm going to flip back and forth. So I'm going to share my screen for a second and show you a few just like kind of layouts, things that you can do. And then I'm going to flip back because I have some things with me that I want to show you as well. So give me 1 second here to switch this over to share my desktop. All right, we'll give that a minute to load. And once it's loaded, you will see behind. Okay, I think we're good to go. All right, if you can't see this, please unmute and let me know because I want to make sure that you can see it. Okay, good. Thank you for confirming. So using alternative equipment for exercise is so important. There are so many different things that we can use, and it just really depends on where you're at. Some of us would be starting with a little bit lighter weight, so those 1 to 2, maybe 3 pound weights. Others, we're going to be looking more for that 6 to 10 pound weight range, and this just is a simple layout that kind of gives you a few different ideas of things that you can use to accomplish that. So first, starting with the 1 to 2 pounds, we have things like a water bottle or a soup can or a soda can or flavored water or anything like that. That works great for 1 to 2 pounds. If you're looking more for that 3 to 5 pound range. Now, let's be real, lifting like a stack of 8 books really isn't that easy or like comfortable to do. Put them in a backpack, put them in a bag, put them in something that they're all contained so you don't have books falling and flying all over the place. But it's really helpful if you can have them in something and then you can utilize that as your weight. It's easy to curl a backpack. It has a handle usually on the top and you can use that to curl a backpack or to put it in a bag where you can, or even a backpack on your back, so like do squats. And you can do weighted squats with a backpack on your back. And same with like you can put flour in a bag and do different things with the flour too. But that's roughly 3 to 5 pounds. Things like paint cans and milk jugs and Tide containers, all of that is going to be anywhere from 6 to 10 pounds. The nice thing about like a milk jug is you can fill it however much you want. So where you're at with that weight, you can adjust and you can fill. So that's really helpful too. Keep in mind, this is kind of like a silly disclaimer, but I have learned from experience, so I'll just mention it. Make sure the covers are on tightly. Yeah, it's not so fun cleaning up Tide detergent. Like that one's not bad because it has like the push spout, but when they don't have it, it's really not very fun to have to clean that up. So watch for covers. Also, gliders. So I'm not sure if you're not familiar with gliders, that's okay, but they're a great way to add resistance. I'll show you one with towels using, if you're on carpet, you can use a paper plate. Hardwood floors, you can use a towel. But those are just, again, a couple of simple, easy, straightforward ways that you can, I'm going to stop sharing for a second, that you can use different household equipment to change up your workout. Now those aren't the only things, there's a lot more, and we are going to talk about some of them as we do some of the exercises that we have in a minute here. But I do want to point out a few other things too. So I have a bunch of the equipment like behind me that we just talked about. But there's other things that you can use, like, for example, paper towel. So if you have paper toweling at home, you can use it as almost like a prop to just help motivate you to do different moves or different exercises that maybe you want to do, like a squat jump where you pick it up from one side and move it to the other. Or if you set it out into a triangle, then you can like do push-ups with your hands in 2 spots, push up and then walk them over, do your hands in the next 2 spots, walk it over, put your hands in the next 2 spots. Just kind of that point of reference that's nice to use. You can also do things like using a basketball, using the stairs at home, using equipment from like your garage and such, like to set up a pull-up bar, stuff like that. So there are so many different things that you can use for household equipment. And we'll send you this handout. I'm going to talk about a couple more as we look at some of the exercise moves that we have in a second here. But If you have anything that you've tried using from home and ways that you've gotten creative with the different exercises, we'd love to hear them. So feel free to put them in the chat box. Jamie will keep an eye on that, and she'll tell us in a little bit here if anyone's maybe had some other ideas of ways that they've gotten creative with using some equipment. Carry your kids. Yeah, that works really well. My daughter's 4 and she works great for extra weight. But it's so important just to use what you have. And if you have other ideas and suggestions, like please put them in the chat box. Let us know. I think, Jamie, you were telling me about a boot or something.
Oh, yes, John shared that with me. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can use so many different things to really just help get the weight component into those workouts at home. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about the equipment side of things, I'm going to switch it back where you can see my screen again. And we're going to talk a little bit more about creating the workout piece. Okay, here's my desktop here. Okay, so on the workout side of things, you can, Jamie, can you see me again? Just making sure.
I just see you just yet.
Oh, okay.
And now you're good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is a kind of do-it-yourself workout. You can see that there are 9 different buckets here. And we call these buckets of exercises. They are major muscle groups, but there's 2 major muscle groups that are missing, the biceps and the triceps. And the reason that they're not on here is because biceps and triceps, they're a little bit more challenging without weight. You can still do them, and you can like do tricep push-ups and resistance with bicep curls and things like that, but they're a little bit easier when you have weight. So we're going to talk about those muscle groups. Don't worry, we'll definitely get into that, but they're why you don't specifically see them outlined on this document here. So when you are creating workouts from home, there's a couple things to keep in mind. First of all, what is the goal of your workout? Depending on what your goal is and what you're wanting to accomplish, really outlines what you're going to need for your workout that day. If your goal is lower body, you're likely going to pick more of those exercises in the quads and the glutes, hamstrings to target your lower body. If your goal is upper body, you're probably going to pick more of that chest and back. And if you're total body or cardio, then you'll have a little bit of everything with a little bit of cardio mixed in too. The challenge that a lot of people face is just figuring out like where to start. I always like to tell people that if you can create a workout that is well-rounded and hits most of your muscle groups, you're doing a great job. Getting your heart rate up is super important in exercise. Remember, your heart is a muscle, so it has to be trained like one. So if you want to improve your cardiovascular fitness, increasing your heart rate and having a higher heart rate is what's important. If you stay at the same consistent pace every day, all the time, and your heart is never taxed at higher levels, it doesn't know how to adapt to that higher stress level. So for some of us, like if you get anxiety or if you have like really stressful moments in your day and you can like kind of feel your heart racing and you maybe get a little jittery, like if you are someone that has like a pretty good like VO2 kind of thing, it's a little bit easier to breathe through it, take it down, kind of control that a little bit more. Not the anxiety piece, that's a different side of things, but just like your heart rate in general, it's been used to being at those higher levels because it's a muscle and you have to train it just like any of the other muscle groups. If you want stronger legs, if you do just squats and no other exercises and you don't add any weights, you're only going to be as strong as the body weight that you are using. So incorporating weights into those squats or incorporating different movements and lunges and different avenues that you can utilize those leg muscles is really important. So you look at all the different buckets, and every movement can be made more challenging, or it's a progression or a regression. You can make it a little bit easier. And these are basically moves that are meant to not necessarily progress you through. They're just different ideas of like that starting baseline. So if you think, I'm going to just back this up for a second. Okay, so for example, with those, if we look just at your squats to start, I just want to make sure you can see me. Here we go. Okay, so if you look just at your squat, so you have just your body weight squat where you're in and out. Now, we can make this more challenging by adding a paint can, right? So now you can squat with that paint can. Squat and stand. Squat and stand. Another option is you can walk it wider, so toes slightly out. Now you're working a little bit more of those inner thighs. Still have that squat, still have that paint can. If you're not up for a paint can, don't use it. You can use some of the other equipment we talked about or no equipment at all. That narrow squat. So maybe you hold that paint can a little bit higher and you walk those feet in and you squat and stand, exhaling with that effort as you stand it up. And then to add more of that cardio, you can do your squat jumps where it's down and up. It's nice and quick. And you can hold soup cans and do them with curls. Curl it up, curl it up. Or you can just do them with just your body weight. There are so many different ways to progress that through using the different equipment that you have. So that's just one example with the squats. I mentioned we don't have biceps and triceps specifically listed, but one thing is the more compound the movement is, typically the higher the heart rate will get and a little bit more bang for your buck. So if you took Jamie's class today, like 90% to 100% of her moves were compound movements. Amanda and I do it all the time as well in our classes. We're constantly combining moves. So just because you see these exercises in buckets doesn't mean, oh, I should just be doing squats. No, like add other movements in. So you can do that squat with an upright row. So you can squat here and now upright row with that paint can, or with just soup cans, or whatever else you're using in terms of where you're at for that weight. Okay, does that make sense? How are we doing? A little pulse check for a second. I feel like I'm flying because it's
You're doing great.
Thanks, Jamie. Any questions so far? Comments?
Angela says, what is over narrow?
Oh, I think I said or narrow. So you can do like, instead of that wide squat, or you can go narrow and walk those feet in. I think that's what we're talking about. So that narrow squat works a little bit more of those outer thighs. Wide squats work more in the inner thighs. Every squat works your quads and your glutes. But it just kind of, your feet positioning dictates a little bit more of what muscle groups you are working in.
So under the back section, under bent wide, or bent over wide bent, it says.
Oh, that's what you mean. Over narrow. So, oops, not going to go. If you are doing bent over rows and you have narrow rows here, that's just what that means. Your elbow is close to your side as you're pulling up, because you can also do 45 as well as 90-degree rows. So changing that elbow degree changes the muscle. So 0 here, 45 here, 90 here. Good question. Thanks for clarifying.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't get it right the first time. Any other questions so far as you're like looking through some of this stuff? And unfortunately, there's no way we have enough time to hit every one of these buckets, but a few of the main takeaways here. Aim for exercises in each of the muscle groups. Compound movements, use them. Okay, so I will just give another quick example. If you were doing lunges and say that you're just doing reverse lunges, but you have a couch or stairs and you want to try putting your foot up on that couch. It's kind of hard to see right now, but my foot's up on my couch and now I'm lunging here. I've just added a whole other dynamic to my lunges by utilizing my couch, something most of us hopefully have at our home, or a chair, or you can do it with a stair, or for example with those squats. If you have, I'm not going to put my foot on the couch for a squat, but for example, I could use this paint can that I've been using, and I could put my foot up on a paint can, and now I just changed my squat to be even more different than what I was doing before. So there's so many things, which is why this workshop is kind of challenging, because you can take it so many different directions we tried to break it down and simplify so that you can kind of see some of the basics, but then really take that one step further, compound movements, combining exercises, and then hitting all the major muscle groups is going to give you that overall total body workout. Okay, how are we doing?
Doing good.
Move on. Okay, I'm going to move forward here. Let's scroll. Actually, let me just go to this one first. So when you're talking about creating workouts, there are a few different things. Some of the main formats that we like to use or that you would like to see us use repeatedly, you'll see like 3-2-1, which is actually what Jamie did in class today. It's 3 minutes of either strength or cardio, 2 minutes of either strength or cardio, and 1 minute of core. So for example, if you do 3 minutes of strength, 2 minutes of cardio, 1 minute of core, or 3 minutes of cardio, 2 minutes of strength, 1 minute of core. It's a 6-minute circuit without any breaks. So add in even like 10-second transition breaks, and you're talking about a 7 to 8 minute circuit just for one. You can repeat it, you can switch them out. So if you go back to like the buckets of exercises and you're talking about the 3-2-1, let's say we want to do 3 of the, let's start with 3 strength exercises. So maybe you do wide squats with an upper row. Then you do reverse lunges with a bicep curl. And then maybe for your third one, you do push-ups, either using the wall or knees on the floor or toes on the floor. Those are your first 3 exercises. You can do a minute of each one. You could do 30 seconds of each one, and then you would repeat it through. Then you would transition to your cardio exercises. You can do burpees, you can do skiers, you can do jumping jacks, star jumps. I mean, any cardio is anything that gets your heart up. I don't care if you're marching in place with your arms going. Maybe you're, I don't even know, doing fun things with your arms up above your head. Anything that gets your heart elevated, that's a cardio move. People tell us all the time, like, where'd you come up with that? We made it up. A lot of times you have to just combine different things to make a cardio exercise, and that's okay. So you can do a cardio, and then you do 1 minute of core. So maybe that's your plank. Maybe you hold plank for a minute. Now that's one way of formatting a 3-2-1 exercise. The other formats we use all the time are things like our Tabatas. So Tabata, I know for if you attend our classes, most of them are 20 seconds, 10-second recovery, 20 seconds. A Tabata actually doesn't need to be in that format. Tabatas can be any combination of lengths of time. So you could do 30 seconds of a strength exercise and then 30 seconds of a cardio exercise back to back. You could do a minute and a minute. You could do 40 seconds of one, 20 seconds of another, however you would want to break it down. Now, what gets confusing for people is they often are like, well, that's great, Kendra, but like I don't have time to track and figure out and watch the time and figure out what I'm supposed to do for exercise, and this all just seems like really a little too complicated. Well, we also would agree that it is really hard to watch the time, switch moves at the right time, figure out like which exercise. So always write it out, first of all, so write out your plan, but then also use some of these apps that would help you. So there is a Tabata app that I put up here for both iPhone, and there's one for Android as well. They are free. Once you have it saved in your phone with how many sets and the length of time and all that stuff, once you have that in your phone, it will save it. And then you can just keep going back to it, or you can adjust it if you want. If you're like, well, that didn't really work for me, I'd like to change some of these things next time. Great, totally fine. You can completely adjust however you'd like. There's also an interval timer one where you can set any interval. So another thing that we'll do a lot of are regressed intervals. So you'll start with 60 seconds of one exercise, 50, 40, 30, 20, and work your way down. And that's another really great way to set up and format a class. Keep in mind, it's typically people will say, like, I get lost counting my reps or counting how many I'm doing. That's okay. Like, using these interval timers is super helpful, so you don't have to count everything that you're doing every single time. It just kind of gives you, this is how many you can get done in 30 seconds. Great. On to the next, on to the next. So give yourself some grace with that and use these timers. Like, you don't have to do, there's nothing magical about 10 reps of an exercise. Depending on what your goals are, like obviously if your goal is to build strength, Well, higher weight really helps with that. That might be a little bit more challenging when you're at home to use some of those higher weights. If your goal is to increase like your muscular endurance, lower weight and higher reps is going to help with your muscular endurance. So it depends on goals. It depends on like what you have at home. But these apps were super helpful to just let you kind of relax, take a step back and think, I don't have to keep, this is one thing I don't have to track. I don't have to, it beeps for me. It tells me when my 30 seconds is up. It notifies me when I need to switch. It'll set in rest times for you. All of that is available right in the app. So I really encourage use of something on your phone. They have plenty that you can pay for as well. There are so many, especially right now, that are out there that you can pay for directly. But these are both free options, and they work for so many different things that I'd really encourage you to use those. And after our call today, we will definitely send this out, but we have another whole section here that is like building your own HIIT routine. It has upper body, lower body, core, and cardio exercises. So before, when you saw those buckets of exercises, it only gave you like 4 cardio options. There are hundreds of cardio options. And let me tell you, you can combine so many of these together too. So here's just a list of some of them. But you can also do like fast feet with a burpee, or you can do a star jump with a burpee, or you can do a star jump with high knees. You can combine these. You can make them different. Make it fun. Like exercise should be fun. And if it's hard, that's good too. But it should be something that you're like, I feel really good after doing that. And it was fun. Like I got to be creative and think of something different. So definitely use these exercises, mix and match. There's a ton more core ones on here too than the buckets. But the buckets help show some of those other moves as well. So again, compound moves, hitting every bucket, all the muscle groups. Use what you have at home, like so anything that you have at home. So where you can use a this for like those rows that I showed you. You can also do this for the bicep curls. I'm not on the screen, that's okay. For the bicep curls, all of that are really effective ways to incorporate into your workout some weights. We strongly encourage you to do that. I know on the glider side of things that you can put a paper plate on the carpet, and if you put your foot on it, you can slide it back and forth. It's a good cardio exercise. It definitely gets your heart rate up. Or you can do it more as a lunge, where you push back, have that resistance for the lunge, and you pull back up. So many different things that you can do with those moves. On this next slide here, we just put together a couple of different options for what you can do for their HIIT workouts, their Tabatas, but they can be formatted so many different ways, and it's just one of the more simplified ways of creating an at-home workout, which is why we suggested and recommend it. But there's a lot of different formats on here. So there's a cardio and core option, which is the second one. So you would put a cardio so let's start with step 1. You'd put a cardio option in there. Say you're doing jumping jacks. Then the next exercise, you're going to do mountain climbers. Then you have 2 core moves. So let's say you're doing planks and sit-ups. Then your third set, you're going to do skiers with high knees. And you keep progressing through there. So basically, you would just use this as a template, put in what the exercises are that you're doing, and then you can just progress from there. So it's a nice way to incorporate different movements. Whew, you guys, that was a lot, and there's still so much more that we could share and so much more that we could get to. We just don't have the time. But here's one other thing I wanted to mention. Amanda, Jamie, and I, we are here to help, and we have tools and resources that are available that we can create at-home workouts for you. If you have specific equipment at home, if you have specific needs, if you have knee issues and you need exercises that don't involve a lot of your knees, if you are looking for more upper body, whatever it is that's your goal that you want to know, like more specific at-home options, please let us know, because we can create those for you, even virtually, without an issue. So that's what we're here for. We want to be able to help. We want to empower you to be able to create your own workouts at home. So that's why we obviously put all this together too. But we also want you to know that like we are definitely here to support and to provide those options and opportunities for you. So we hope you can take advantage of that too. So I'm going to unlock my screen. Jamie, do you have anything to add?
Nothing in the chat feature, and yeah, as you said, we'll send out the handouts. But yeah, just try to type in the chat section of just again like aim for the compound movements, pick your buckets. But as John said, like the list of exercises is great, so just utilize that and like Kendra said, make it fun, like, and just play around with those different patterns because keep your body guessing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, the more different and change ups that you can do, the better. Like it just lets you feel refreshed and new, and you don't have to be everything changed at once. Just little things here and there, they make a big difference too. So, but we would love your feedback, and if you have other ideas or suggestions that would be helpful, we're all ears. So, hopefully this is at least helpful to get you started and get you going. But we're happy to help when we're here. So thanks, you guys. I really appreciate you attending today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Kendra. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
This was helpful. I look forward to getting all of these in my email soon.
Oh, we have it in one document.
Perfect.
Yep, we'll just use a scroll just like we did. So, yep.
Yeah, those are always super helpful.
Good.
Kendra, is there still time for me to ask a quick question?
Oh, please. Yeah, absolutely.
So in the DIY list under hamstring, there were two that I was not familiar with.
Sure.
Could you show me how to do them? I think they were something about a bridge.
A hip bridge, and then so there's a single leg bridge and bridge tap outs and bridge drops. Yeah. Let me just run you through those really quick.
If you don't mind, yeah, I would appreciate it.
No, I'm just going to lock my screen, and then I'm going to. Okay, so for the bridge, big thing, if you can dig your heels into the ground, that actually really activates your glutes and hamstrings. So dig those heels in. This is your typical bridge. Couple options. Hands at your side provides the most support. Hands across your chest makes it a little bit more unstable. You can also raise your hands up, and that makes it even more unstable. Then you have your hip dips. It's a tap and a press. Tap, so you squeeze at the top. One thing I want to know, my knees are close together here, okay? If your knees are flying out to the side, that's not what we want. We want to keep your knees together, heels down, toes up. So you tap and press. Then from here, you're in that bridge, and you can tap out, extend, out. Again, hands press over your chest, makes it more unstable. Hands down by your side, creates more stability for you. So totally up to you. And then, what was the other one? There's 4 of them. Bridge dips,
Tap out.
tap out, I just did.
Hold on 1 second. That's pull out. Single leg.
Oh yeah, single leg bridge. So for your single leg bridge, you can cross one foot on top of your opposite knee, and you hold here. You can also extend it out and hold here. Either way works. Same thing. Change it with where you put your arms, but you can add in chest presses as you hold here. You could do tricep extensions here. So there's so many different things that you can do with those movements, but that's how you would do the single leg bridge.
Wow, thank you.
You're welcome. And yes, I mean, if you have some time and you want to stay on and ask me questions, feel free. But otherwise, have a good rest of your day, you guys.
Yeah, thank you.